December, all the Zimbabweans, including me, number one, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay.
Just in the past 2 days, we've been able to intercept over 500 Zimbabweans that were trying to cross into Botswana around Crobela's Bridge, port of entry, illegally. All of those people were intercepted, and we had to make sure that we bring them to the port and we process them out for deportation. So there is a shift out of Beit Bridge into Crobela's Bridge and other ports into Botswana. And that is an attempt to at least subvert the processes. So we are aware of that, and that is why we proactively deployed even that side to be able to deal with that situation.
Over 500 Zimbabwean nationals were refused permission to leave South Africa in December 2025 after authorities discovered passport overstays, unresolved immigration statuses, and documentation irregularities, triggering confusion, anger, and panic at border posts. Plus, the economic freedom fighters have also condemned America for their airstrikes in Nigeria, describing the attacks as violation of African sovereignty. If this is your first time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the videos. Now let's get into the story.
If you've enjoyed this video so far, please do me a huge favor and hit the like button and subscribe. These videos take quite a long time to make, so if you could help me out, I'll love you forever. Thank you all for your support. Now let's get back to this crazy story.
Now, this is the penultimate number and it's number 2. At number 2, I present to you Kweku Afrique. Wow! This guy has a thunderous voice. Like, when he speaks, you wanna listen. I've been able to watch a couple of his videos, and I sincerely will tell you that he makes great impression in whatever content he's going to present. Thank you so much, Mr. Kweku. Keep up the good work.
So Christmas is a time where everybody tries to go home to familiarize with the family after leaving the family and working elsewhere, abroad, elsewhere for a very long time. The only time you get to have time and enjoy with the family is Christmas Day. And that was exactly what people or Zimbabweans living in South Africa were trying to go home and reunite with the family back in Zimbabwe. But these people were blocked from exiting South Africa. Why? Reason is these people were mainly asylum seekers. These Zimbabweans also living and working in South Africa try to go back to Zimbabwe during this Christmas Eve to have time and unite with their families. But upon arriving at the border, these people were prevented from leaving South Africa. Why? Because most of these people were asylum seekers who had sought asylum in South Africa. And so, by securing asylum in South Africa, what they said was that Zimbabwe was unsafe for them. So, if you've declared that Zimbabwe is unsafe for you, why then do you go back to a country which is unsafe? That was the major reason. And so, the South African immigration issued refused departure stamp mainly at the border posts, preventing these Zimbabweans from exiting the country. Now, this was not a deportation. It's a legal block on leaving until statuses issues are resolved. Most of these people had, different, statuses with regards to their asylum application in South Africa. And so they were supposed to live in South Africa until their statuses are rectified or when they get the needed response. Then, if they will exit South Africa, they exit. They cannot exit South Africa to a country they have declared unsafe whilst their asylum applications were still pending. And to top it up, these people had a number of passport overstays, unresolved immigration statuses, and document irregularities. Now, under international law, South Africa cannot allow asylum seekers to voluntarily return home whilst appeals are still pending or their statuses are unresolved. So, the asylum claim is still legally active, and so leaving will legally contradict their own claim. Now, authorities say that these people with overstayed visas and who are asylum seekers with pending or abandoned cases need to have their statuses regularized before they will leave or they will stay in South Africa. And most of these individuals were trying to exit South Africa through Botswana with all those irregular or mismatched travel documents. And so they were detained and prevented from leaving South Africa. Now, this operation falls under South Africa's 2025 festive season operational plan, which includes drone surveillance, traceable movement systems, real-time border monitoring, and the goal is to stop undocumented movement before it creates future legal disasters. Now, officials say that this move was meant to protect travelers because if somebody exits South Africa illegally or with unresolved status, they can be declared undesirable and automatically hit with a 5-year re-entry ban. So then why don't you allow them go? So by refusing departure, officials are forcing people to fix their status first. Why don't you allow them to go so that you declare them that way? Now, the economic freedom fighters have also condemned America, the United States, for their airstrikes carried out in northwest Nigeria, describing the attacks as a violation of African sovereignty. Now, the party says that the strikes conducted on Christmas Eve, framed by Washington as counter-terrorism operations, amount to what it calls American military imperialism on the continent. Now, the EFF has criticized the Nigerian government response, accusing it of endorsing foreign military action instead of defending their national sovereignty. It has warned that Africa risks becoming a battleground for global powers unless regional borders intervene. And that is why, the EFF also have intervened. Now, they issued, a press release. I will drop it. You can read it, for your own, per usual. So that is the stories coming from South Africa. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share the video. My name is Kweku Africa, and it's a wrap for today.
Our warnings to South Africa about Zimbabwe's economic and political crisis were ignored, so say Zimbabwe labor unions, civic society groups, as well as human rights activists. And now this has resulted in thousands of Zimbabweans flocking into neighboring South Africa and Botswana in search of jobs and better lives. More than 89,000 illegal immigrants have already been arrested for deportation. ENCA's Zimbabwe correspondent Pindai Dube has got this report for us.
Zimbabwe police say in a joint operation with South African police and Botswana, more than 80,000 Zimbabwe illegal immigrants were arrested or deported in the past few weeks. 4 others drowned while trying to cross Limpopo.
We have been talking about these issues as labor, as human rights activists, that SADC and AU have to take a progressive and practical position on the Zimbabwean crisis. We have got a crisis. SADC has to resolve this crisis before it degenerates, and now it has already degenerated. So SADC, South Africa, and any other countries that are in Africa need to agree that Zimbabwe has got a crisis.
Peter Mutasa adds that this is a regional humanitarian crisis and deportation is not a solution.
This problem has now caused the humanitarian crisis. It is not enough for South Africa to just push Zimbabweans back to where they cannot get livelihoods and to where they can starve. 61% of people in here are food insecure. So all those people are looking for food.
Political analysts say illegal immigrants flocking into South Africa is a confirmation that Emmerson Mnangagwa's government has failed.
That's symptomatic of the failure to govern by the ZANU-PF government in Zimbabwe, when it has been failing for decades now to provide Zimbabweans with jobs. You know, jobs are basic needs of Zimbabweans.
The Zimbabwe government has remained mum over the latest mass exodus of citizens seeking to survive elsewhere. Pindai Dube, Harare.